Teal House Farm. Let's see, Friday I think it was, we posted our video asking for questions so that we could do this Q&A, and we got some good ones. So we're going to kick this right off. We're going to jump right in. We've got great questions. Thank you to everyone that submitted a question. If you weren't able to submit a question, we're doing a live stream this coming Monday at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. You can jump in there and we'll do our best to answer your question there. We had a lot of fun with our last live stream, so this is going to be, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Alright, so first question from Peoria Dude, and he asked a couple questions. He said, where do you see your family in 10 years? And Laura and I looked at that one, and she had a great response immediately.
Well, hopefully we're not wiping any more buns by then. Hopefully we have all grown up, well, not grown up, but teenagers. Like, well, that even sounds scary, but I don't know. Where do you see us in 10 years?
I don't know. I mean, seriously, I would hope that our homestead is self-sustainable. Mm-hmm. I mean, as much as possible. I think we're making some big strides here. We talked about it, hopefully in the next month, making some big strides. By then, though, you hope in 10 years with your homestead that you've got all of your structures in place, you know, all the big stuff. And in 10 years, you're just kind of fine-tuning your farm and how to make it maybe more, what's the word I want? Efficient. You're making it more efficient. Not only is it self-sustainable, do you have, you know, all of your livestock that you want, you've kind of honed in on the breeds that you liked, you know, all of that kind of stuff. You know, you're cruising with your vegetable garden and maybe your fruit trees and your berry bushes and all that. But you're a lot more efficient too, because you know exactly how to get the job done. Mm-hmm. That's kind of where I want to be.
Well, not even the next 10 years. In the next 5 years, our goal is to be completely debt-free. We're pretty close. We need to still pay off this farm, and so we've been paying that down. And so our goal is to have that paid off in the next 5 years, and then we won't owe anybody anything, and can make as little or as much money as we want, and still feel comfortable with our life.
The big thing is you can do what you want with your money.
That's true. Do what you want.
You're not having to, you know, hand over that paycheck to somebody else. And in 10 years too, we're hoping our YouTube channel will have grown a little bit. I mean, we got a big boost here lately from Doug and Stacy, but we're just going to keep working hard on it and posting. On
a serious note, though, in 10 years, he hopes to be at least down here.
That's true. All right. And then Peoria Dude also asked, what are your long-term dreams? If we're looking like way out, I'd say for our family, it's that we've been able to teach our girls skills that we didn't know, things that we're trying to learn right now and teach them. But hopefully we've given them some life skills that they can take on their own journey.
And also, I think as far as when we're ready to retire, that we've had enough children that they can just shuffle us along and we don't need to worry about whether or not we have money.
Oh, and then he sent this bonus question. How many World Series are the Cubs going to win in a row, including last year?
Does that include when they cheat?
No, I don't think they cheat,
okay.
But they're going to win 0 in a row. I'll tell you that. They won their one. That's good enough for the record books. They don't need any more. That dude's always busting my chops. All right. Mini-Steading asked us a question. They said, how long were you searching for properties until you found the Teal House?
We started thinking about farming, not homesteading, but farming, right around the time our first daughter was born. And so we weren't seriously looking. We were just poking around and doing our research and figuring out how to get ready for that for more than a year, I think.
I'd say it was probably at least 1.5 years, maybe 2 years. And we actually saw this house on the market a year before we bought it. It has 10 acres. I'd say probably 7.5 or 8 are open, and then there's 2 acres of woods. But the first time we saw it, because we were thinking of farming, like, you know, raising chickens to butcher and sell, and, you know, selling raw milk, like you need a lot of acres for things like that. And 10 acres, we thought, man, just don't know if that's going to do it, if that's going to be enough to really make serious money on it. And so it was like, oh, that's a cool house. And then we just kind of left it alone because we were looking at more like 20, 30, 40 acres, trying to find something and maybe build a house. And after looking, and we wanted to stay in this area, but land is not cheap here. And so after looking for a year, we kind of fell back looking at this and was like, well, maybe we should consider. It's been on the market for a year, and we did get a great deal on it. We feel like we got a great deal on it. And Laura fell in love with it because she's from the East Coast, and they've got all kinds of really old homes over there. And so I think it kind of reminded her of home a little bit. Okay,
but we didn't quite finish. So I would say it was probably about 2.5 years all in total. We didn't actually really we did a lot of driving around and looking at properties, but once we did that for maybe six months there at the end, but this was the first property we really felt like this was the one, and we got the realtor specifically for this property to buy it.
This is the only place.
This is the only place we put an offer in. We just decided after the 2.5 years of researching and deciding what we wanted to do that this is what we wanted, and we went for it.
Right. They also ask who edits the videos, Sam or Laura or both, and then kind of follow-up questions. Where did you learn, and what editing program do you use? I do all of the editing, which is really funny because Laura's a computer, nerd, sort of. Genius. Yeah. I was going to say nerd. Laura's dad is a computer wizard. He can do anything on a computer, so she's the same way. And in the past, with things that we've done, like at church or places that we've volunteered or helped and stuff, Laura's put together videos for them. So when we first started making videos and we talked to our friends, they'd be like, oh, your videos look good, Laura does a real good job editing those, blah, 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 blah. And I'd be like, well, actually, I'm the one that puts those together. And they don't believe me.
He does. He's done every video.
I still don't know if they believe. I enjoy doing that, though. It's a way to be creative. My favorite part is with the music. I like making the videos, like the funny parts, and being creative with camera shots and all that. But I edit. I taught myself how to do it. We just use Windows Movie Maker, which is what let me tell you what our equipment is, okay? We use two iPhone 4S's. We use Laura's when we want to use audio.
Because
and we use mine because mine does not pick up audio. If we use mine, it sounds like this. So if it's a scene that has no talking in it, it's probably because we use my phone. And then we bought the cheapest laptop at Walmart, and it came with Windows Movie Maker, and that's how we edit our videos.
So you don't need to spend a lot of money if you're ever considering starting a vlog. Because if we could show you what our phones look like, you would probably cry a little too. But they still work, so... Alright.
Yeah, so that's what we do. The Concrete Kid, Maria, asks, have you always lived in the country, or were you ever a city family at one point? So we've always lived... Laura and I together have always lived in the city.
Well, it's not city. We lived in like a smaller suburban town when we first got married for 7 years, 8 years, and then we moved out here. He grew up on a little mini. They had a little mini farm. Kind of a little farm.
This is kind of a hobby farm.
I grew up on the East Coast in a very kind of more ritzy area, a lot different from this.
Just a couple hours from New York, a couple hours from Boston, kind of.
Spent a lot of time in visiting the city and things like that.
Right. Yeah. We had grown up. For me, at one point, we did have some egg-laying chickens, and we did raise a couple batches of meat birds that we butchered. I'd say maybe 100 total in the 2 or 3 years we did it. We also had a horse and a couple of goats. So that's kind of the extent of my farming sort of experience. All right, our next question is from OffGrid with Doug and Stacy. I visited them on Thursday, and we uploaded a video about that on Friday. And their question is, after the visit there, what changes, if any, will you make now moving forward? So we've kind of been on the fence a little bit about going off-grid and kind of doing a few things here and there. But after visiting them, I really feel like, and I was encouraged, that living off-grid is definitely possible. It's not, you don't have to suffer or feel like you're barely making it to live that way. That's how I was, I don't know, how it changed me, I guess, a little bit. It was just so peaceful there. They were unplugged. They've got their cell phone and their computer there to do YouTube. But I was just really encouraged by that.
He also came home and wanted to buy a whole new set of power tools, because apparently Doug has really nice tools. So
I'm not gonna
we'll
lie,
put that in the 10-year plan.
Yeah, I was a little jealous of that. Let's see. Okay, the grass-fed homestead asked, "What is your music background? When did you realize your talent for singing and piano playing?" So this is the funny part about that question. Laura actually has a master's in music.
Use that every day.
Yeah. I have a bachelor's in music. I guess we could both start from the beginning.
Let's start.
Yeah.
Very...
All right. So I don't know. I remember I started singing in church mostly, and I remember having a solo for church, like the church kids musical, when I was 5 or 6. So I guess that's kind of when it started. And then, all through middle school and high school, it took piano lessons and voice lessons and was in choir. Went to college. We both met at college. I majored and got a degree in church music. I'm not ordained. I'm not an ordained minister or anything, but I do have a degree in church music. And so that's actually what I do. We've been at the church, is it 9 years now?
Almost 9 years.
Almost 9 years. I got the job out of college, and so I lead worship at a church. I guess that's my background. I don't know about the talent in piano playing, though. I think all of my piano teachers would disagree with you, Dan.
He tries.
I can fake my way through a song. That's about it.
My parents are both musicians, so we started lessons really early. My dad is a very, very active musician, so that was always part of our life growing up, traveling while he plays an instrument called the carillon, which you'd look up. It's pretty cool. But he used to travel around, went lots of cool places while he did that. And my mom plays piano really, really well, and she wanted us to be able to do that. So started us in lessons when we were really little, and I did that all the way through college. Got my bachelor's in music performance, actually on the French horn, not on the piano, but that's a different story. And then I decided after college I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, so I went and got a master's in music too. But that's kind of that.
Music composition.
Music composition. And then I discovered that I really love music, but I don't like writing it as much as I thought I would. And now I teach piano lessons. That's what I do other than staying home, and I love doing that, and I have some awesome students. Sam is not one of my students. His piano skills are a little, but he tries really hard.
Oh, stop it. Okay, Mrs. Soap Peddler's Homestead asked, "What kind of goats are you planning on getting?" And this one's...
Cheap goats is our answer.
Yeah. Well, I don't... The problem is, I feel like sometimes when it comes to animals, you do kind of get what you pay for. I don't want to buy a $600 registered, whatever, but we can't decide whether we should this first year just get meat goats and help. The main purpose of trying to get the goats right now is to help knock down our field on the east side of the house. It's grown up, it's so brushy. So we're trying to decide whether we should get the meat goats and raise them, buy a couple kids and raise them so that we can butcher them, or whether we should jump right into the dairy goats and kind of go that way. We're not sure. I'd say if we did go the dairy goat way, though, we'd probably get some Nubians. That's what we had when I was growing up, and I enjoyed them. They're fun goats. They're good goats. Lisa Wright asks, "What part of Missouri are you from?" We're in central Missouri near the Missouri River. We're actually in the Herman area. There's a lot of wineries around here. That's kind of what Herman's known for here in Missouri. It was settled, I don't know, a lot of Missouri is settled by German immigrants. And so, I mean, if you go down to Herman, there's just a big German influence down there. A lot of the people in the area are German, and so it's a real neat area. They say the people in Herman and the area settled here because it reminded them a little bit of the Black Forest over in Germany. And Laura and I actually were able to go to Germany when we were in college with a group, and we drove through the Black Forest, and I think maybe that's a little bit of the reason we enjoy where we live too, because it's kind of, we get to reminisce about that, and it's real pretty. There's a lot of bluffs and a lot of hills, and our farm is not very flat, but that's okay. All right, this is our last question. It's from Swamp Creek Cabin. What is the biggest obstacle facing your homestead goals, and how do you plan to overcome it?
I think there's two obstacles. I think the first one is the same obstacle everybody has, is you only have so much money at one time. And so trying to decide what order to do things in without going into debt, trying to be smart with money. I think I don't like calling it an obstacle, but the second one, it is very difficult to homestead with very young children. Because it's a lot of, one of us, always has to be with the children. Because they're so little, and so it kind of slows you down. I don't like calling it an obstacle because children are such a blessing, and there's so many wonderful things. And one day those children will be older and will be be able to be better helpers. Right now that does kind of slow us down because we can't really do a lot of things outside hard work on the homestead together. Because you're always needing to be able to be available to help the children and teach the children.
Right, and we try, like we said earlier, we want the girls to be able to learn these skills too. So when we can, as long as it's not dangerous for them, we try to include them when we can. But right now, because they're 3, 2, and 6 months old, it goes slow when we include them. And so that part is kind of tough. It's kind of tough and we have to be careful too, to try and YouTube with little kids. You don't want to spend so much time vlogging that you miss out on your family. Right. It takes forever. It really does to try and shoot a video and then try and edit it and then upload it. It's a very time consuming process. I think you answered that pretty well. Yeah. Hey, man, if we had $300,000 and could throw it at the homestead, you'd be set up really fast. So, yeah, that was a good answer. All right. Well, if we missed your question, I apologize. I tried to go through thoroughly and look at everything. So if we missed it, I'm sorry. But hit us up on the live stream on Monday at 6:30 Central Time, and we'll do our very best to answer your questions. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Is that right? Yeah, like, comment, and subscribe, and share. Do all that good stuff. I think that's all we've got for you today. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you later.